Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. This is episode 398 of the Ping Pong Flix Show. And here is a new slew of DC news. First one up is all about Joker. Joker has appeared at Venice Film Festival, also the Toronto Film Festival as well. And critics from both audiences some of them are approved to go on Rotten Tomatoes, or at least Rotten Tomatoes have sought out these reviews and decided to pull it into Rotten Tomatoes. Now, I don't want to just focus too much on Rotten Tomatoes. It is just a site that compiles different reviews at their mercy. They give them either a fresh or a rotten a score without even contacting the critic for the most part. So I want you to think of it as just a site that pulls in reviews, but as much as possible, it'd be great if you went in on your own, like myself, and created your own opinion of the movie. But for those of you who are interested in the Rotten Tomato and the Tomato Meter, right now Joker is sitting at a 78%. The average rating is 7.93 out of 10. Total count reviews right now is 72, with 56 fresh reviews as opposed to 16 rotten reviews. And like I've said before, fresh and rotten, there is no middle. It's either the Rotten Tomatoes either gives it a rotten or a fresh review, depending on how they feel their review should be, rather than the critic actually telling them what it is. For the most part, there are some that do actually tell them if it's fresh or rotten, but for the most part, they don't. The critics don't even tell Rotten Tomatoes to even give them the review as well. But the one you should really look at is a 7.93 out of 10, because that is a better average rating when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes in any case. And that is essentially almost an 8 out of 10. So it's actually a fresh score for the most part. There's more reviewers that like this movie rather than not like this movie. So that is something to be said there. Of course, it's right now there is no audience score because audience hasn't seen it yet. It'll come out on October 4th, 2019, and by then they'll probably let the audience put in their score, unless it's like, Finding Neverland, which the audience score for some reason is not there. But it's just something for you if you want to see that, and it's good for general audiences to be interested in it, for people who seek out that score and want to know if this is a movie they should put their money in with. There are movies that have very low audience, low tomato scores, and people just still went out and saw it anyway, so it really doesn't matter as too much. I think the hype for this movie is incredibly big for a movie that is regarding a villain, and it's not even a part of the comic book, not even part of the DCEU, and people are excited about this as well. And with the success for the most part of what we've been hearing praise from both Toronto and Venice, and Academy Oscar award winning notations on that, it makes you wonder, is Warner Brothers really gonna go on with it? Are they going to make more of these type of films? This is from Ron at TIFF, at Cyborg Punks. I guess he was at TIFF and he was able to record this conversation. He said this, he tweeted this: "Don't know if anyone mentioned this, but it sounds like Todd Phillips has an entire DC Black universe planned, or at least the beginning of one. He said he pitched 3 other movies to Warner Brothers with director recommendations." And this is a video right here.
With an entire label, I said, we should create a whole nother label called DC Black. I just made it up, but whatever. I said, call it whatever. Where you're doing these kind of low-budget versions of these movies, but you're doing more character study stuff, and you get interesting filmmakers that aren't necessarily tied to the worlds that are already built by other filmmakers. So I said, in the first one we can do Joker, and then we can do Gunn, and named like 3 other things, and 3 other like directors you can get to do that. And they rightfully said, calm down, you're not doing starting a label. But that's an interesting idea. Why don't you go and write it, and we'll see. So that's what we did. And whether they do it or not, I honestly don't know, and we'll see. But I think it's a cool idea.
Now, from that video, Ron also adds, assuming Warner Brothers told him to slow down because they were already taking a risk with Joker, now that Joker is a hit, well, maybe we'll move forward with this idea. Could be incredibly fresh and interesting. I'm going to have to agree with that, because if this is such a great hit, and if I myself or you go in and watch this movie and say, this is awesome. This is something that we've never thought about before. Let's not have to always connect with the DCEU. Let's have this separate universe or even separate label in order to plop these other movies that have nothing interconnectivity with an overarching DCEU. We can continue the DCEU, continue the connectivity, but we can also bring in these other films with characters. And that is something that I am all for, because it's back in the days when I used to have time to read comic books, there would be that overarching, and then you got your Elseworlds tales, you got your one-offs, you got your different series here and there, and it's essentially the same thing, kind of like how they had in the comic books. They have the regular Justice League, and then on this side you got Injustice Gods Among Us, and so you could actually see that happen, and that actually make way for other directors to create what they want to make without having to worry about how this connects to this. Do I have to use this actor or this actress, or can I use this and that? Now they'll have to play it slowly, and I think they are right now with Joker, having people know and feel that, hey, this is something by itself. It's not part of the DCU. We're not going to see, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in this. We're not going to see Jason Momoa's Aquaman. We're not going to see Henry Cavill. It's going to be its own thing, its own story. Whether that own story actually spurs a sequel for itself or not, we'll see. But I like what he's talking about here, where they're going to have a separate label. I mean, it could literally jump on the screen so audiences will realize, oh, okay, this is a DC Black label. This is DC Black. This is not part of the DCU. We're not going to expect to see, Zachary Levi, Shazam, just come in and save. We're not going to be thinking about, well, what happened to, Man of Steel? What happened to Ben Affleck's Batman? What happened to this person and that person? Because you're essentially you're going in fresh into a new world, a new story. And I think that is something that is incredibly cool and very interesting, different than what Marvel is doing, right? Or it could essentially be, well, no, it is different from Marvel, because even Marvel's Netflix series tries to, in a way, just grasp that they're part of that bigger universe, even though the world cinematic doesn't even want to give them any notice. But this one is like totally separate, right? And so it actually paves way for more interesting stories, more creative stories, different ways of telling a story, using DC as a reference. And so we'll get a lot more variations in the movies that we can appreciate, especially for DC fans. If you don't like a certain tone or certain type of movie that they're putting out, and you don't like how it's connecting to the DCEU, you've got some slew of movies right here, art house films like Joker, and it would be incredibly refreshing, a palette to cleanse if you don't like this part. But if you don't like this part, that's fine. You got the DCEU right here. This is the main storyline. This is the bigger story, and hopefully it connects well together. But it has a flavor for everybody within that, and I think that's great. You're not held down, you're not totally controlled by one aspect of that story. So with that in mind, man, if Zack Snyder could come back, and I know I'm getting crazy again, but Zack Snyder could come back and say, hey, I want to create that story. It's fine. You guys want to do your lighthearted DCU. I want that Elseworlds, and we can finally see his arc. I don't know. Who knows? But I think that is an incredible notion. If they're willing to go the route of DC Black label, then why not open it up for different Elseworld type tales? Kingdom Come, man, let's do it. Let's just do it, you know. And I think I could really get excited for the paths they're willing to take here. And it really essentially took them a whole year to actually sink into Joker and let Todd Phillips do what he wanted to do. And I think if that is successful, that really tells them that, all right, we really got to trust our directors. We really have to let them do what they want to do. And I think that even extends to Matt Reeves' The Batman. I truly think now that Matt Reeves' The Batman is probably not a reboot. It is its own story, its own Gotham City, its own world. That's what I believe and think right now, but we'll see what happens with that. Now, for the DCEU, we are all talking about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, and we're always constantly looking for who's going to be cast, who's going to be the next actor or actress that's coming into his movie. He does say that the new casting announcements will be very soon. He's trying to work that up together, but he also tweeted this as well. Like so many rumors, this one was false. In a rumor to the part that a table read was going to be tomorrow, he said that table read was yesterday. And if you're watching this, tomorrow is the day before. I was truly blown away by the amount of talent in the room. Holy cow. To me, that just confirms that he has everybody there ready together. They're reading the scripts, they're acting out their lines at the table, and they have everybody. He has everybody he needs. And I'm wondering who was at that table. So that part excites me. That part I want to see. I want to know where that is. And I think what he's trying to do, just like David Ayer's Suicide Squad, is get them all in the same room, possibly with costumes or something, take a one big picture, and then show the world that, hey, this is my Suicide Squad. This is the Suicide Squad, James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad 2, and this is the cast right now, and then they'll finally reveal a little bit more. Of course, Warner Brothers is very, very secretive in that department, as you know. They don't really want to tell anybody anything. They keep all their cards to their chest. They don't even announce anything. It's very secretive and weird. I don't know if that type of way of marketing is going to change by the time Ann Sarnoff really gets her hands on things or not. But right now, it's just their MO. They're just really not going to let the public know too much. They leak out certain stuff here and there, or things just get leaked out in general. And like James Gunn says, many rumors. So a lot of those could be rumors, a lot of those could be not. But the only thing we know now for a fact is there is a table read, meaning that he's got everybody he needs, right? He's got everybody in that same room. All the major players of that movie are in that room. They've been cast. They're there. They're working on it, and it's going to shoot as soon as 2 weeks away, and maybe by then. If they're going to start shooting in 2 weeks away, they've got to have the costumes ready. They've got to probably fit the costumes. I can't wait to see what they all look like and how drastic are the changes in terms of Captain Boomerang. Well, Rick Flag is just military, but Harley Quinn and all such characters. What's King Shark going to look like? You know, and there's so many different aspects of the movie that I'm really intrigued and interested to see, and I can't wait for to get excited for the DCU once again, even though I'm constantly am, but the Suicide Squad is the next film in play. Now, the other film that is actually before the Suicide Squad is Wonder Woman 1984, and I thought this was kind of interesting. This came out on GamesRadar.com, or also Total Film. They are talking about, and it's really just a review of what they know about Wonder Woman 1984. The facts are that its release date is June 5th, 2020, Patty Jenkins, and so on and so forth. And it's just a review of everything. But I like how the total film, the way they kind of present this article is that amidst reshoots of Wonder Woman 1984 and things like that, and it got triggered. People got absolutely triggered about this story, seeing that, and I don't know if many people read about it, but the last thing was known, and I think it's done, is that the reshoots are done, and actually that's just the last thing they know about this film. We do see Gal Gadot doing other things at this point, unless they're reshooting other things. But I think for the most part, it seems to be okay. Movies do have reshoots here and there, but we'll see. I mean, it's such a far out, and it's not too far. I mean, June 5th, it's next year for, yes, and, Birds of Prey comes out first, and it is doing reshoots right now in terms of action or adding more action into it. So I wouldn't be worried too much about it. A lot of the players are still there. We still got Patty Jenkins and everybody else. There is no another director coming in. So that's the difference between Birds of Prey, difference between Wonder Woman 1984 than compared to Justice League, because Justice League, Zack stepped out. Whether he got fired or he quit, we don't know. A lot of people said he got fired. Other people say he quit. Other people say he just left or didn't respond or whatever. But the fact is, he was out, and the studio took the opportunity to come in, to bring in Joss Whedon to finish it up and actually to drastically change it, or gave him the freedom to actually change it to however they wanted, despite Toby Emmerich's false narrative that Zack Snyder allowed Joss Whedon to come in, and also to keep the tone of Zack Snyder's tone that ultimately is not true, as you and I know when we watch Justice League. So I think this is a different situation. Yes, Chad Stahelski is involved in the action scenes, but he was already there. He was the second unit director. He was already there to help out with the action scenes. I think, to my knowledge and to my belief, it's nothing. It's almost the same as in compared to Patty Jenkins getting Zack Snyder to help her out with the action scenes in Wonder Woman. So I think it's could be comparatively the same. For Wonder Woman 1984, it's still Patty Jenkins as the director, so there's something to be said about that. So, but speaking of Justice League and Snyder Cut, I wanted, if you guys want, you can go check out Dave Pena's Film Junkee's a video where he and Midnite went over to D23 Expo, and they were outside with the release of Snyder Cut sign, and they got to talk to different people, talk to Marvel fans, and a lot of those people actually do want to see the cut. They are willing to pay to see the cut and stuff. There's also people that didn't know about it, so hopefully they were able to educate them a little bit about it. So it's just a cool little video that you can go ahead and check out. But it's cool to see that even though they were at Marvel or at Disney, there are people there who love Marvel, also like what DCEU is, but also, even though they don't like Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, they are interested to see the Justice League Snyder Cut. They are interested in having the director get his vision made. So that is something said about that. And also, it wasn't that harsh. They weren't really that negative. It's as much as we see all the negative trolling and ramblings on Twitter, at least we know that in real life they're probably not like that when they're out of the confines of their keyboard, right? And so that's great for humanity. Yeah, but I kind of enjoyed the video, and I'm glad that they've got a few more people on there to talk about the Snyder Cut, to learn about the Snyder Cut, and for people out there to actually want to read. Maybe after that meeting, they went back home, they went on their phone waiting in line and decide to queue up Snyder Cut to see what it's all about. So any way to actually create the noise and give out that information, I think that is a huge plus. All right, guys, well, that is it for tonight, and I want to thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.